He held my hand like it meant something. Flashes from cameras kept hitting my eyes, but it wasn't the lights that blinded me, it was the sound of his voice. "We're officially engaged." I heard it before I felt his grip tighten. Applause echoed in waves. Gasps. Gasps, like betrayal. I looked up at him. His jaw was calm. His smile rehearsed. His scent, flat. Neutral. Not happy. Not angry. Just cold. Like that silver ring he pushed onto my finger 5 seconds ago. My chest, it tightened. I couldn't feel my legs. A week ago, I was just the Omega who made him tea at midnight. His housemate. His nothing. Now, I was standing beside him on stage in front of 100 people called his fiancée. Did I miss something, or did I just lose everything? My gland pulsed under the silk collar he gave me last month. It itched now, burned like shame. Reporters started shouting. "How long have you been together? Is this a political move? Did the Hartwell Group approve this bond?" I tried to step back. His hand didn't let me. I wanted to speak. I wanted to run. But all I did was smile. Smile like I wasn't dying inside. He leaned closer, lips near my ear. I could feel the heat of his breath, but none of the warmth. "Play along." 2 words. That was all he gave me. No warning. No explanation. No apology. My lips moved. Okay. But my soul said no. I couldn't stop shaking. Not on the outside. No, the outside was calm, elegant, like a well-dressed lump. But inside, my heart was screaming. Screaming for the truth I didn't know. Screaming for the past week to rewind. Because last Friday, I wasn't his anything. Just someone who cooked when he forgot to eat. Someone who brought him water during his rut because no one else dared go near him. I remember that night. His door had been unlocked. He was pacing, sweating, shaking from pheromones. His scent was overwhelming. Raw, sharp, unfiltered alpha. I should have run. Any Omega would have. But I stepped inside. "Need help?" I asked softly. He didn't answer. Just looked at me like he didn't recognize me. Like I was prey or poison. Then fast, too fast, he grabbed my wrist, pulled me close, buried his face in the crook of my neck. I froze. My gland throbbed so hard I nearly fell. But he didn't bite, just breathed. Over and over again. And then, like a fever, it stopped. He let me go. Didn't look at me. I left without a word. Next morning, the house was silent. He didn't mention it. I didn't either. I thought it was an accident. I thought it meant nothing. I was wrong. Today, this stage, this announcement, this ring. This was no accident. He planned this. I stared at the silver band on my finger. Cool metal. It didn't fit. Not my size. Not my heart. Was it always meant for me? Or was I just convenient? The press kept flashing, asking questions. I stopped hearing them. All I could hear was my own heartbeat. Loud. Lost. He smiled again, lifted our joined hands for the camera. His fingers were warm. Mine were ice. I turned to him, whispered so only he could hear. "Why me?" He looked down, eyes like glass. "Because you're quiet." Quiet. Like furniture, like background noise, like someone who won't fight back. I looked away. Suddenly the weight of the ring felt heavier than a chain. A cage. A collar with diamonds. My scent flared, bitter, confused, laced with panic. I tried to suppress it, but it was too late. He noticed. His grip on my hand tightened. "Breathe," he said quietly. I hated how easily my body obeyed. I hated how much my heart wanted to believe there was something more. That maybe that night during rut, the way he held me, the way he didn't bite, maybe he cared, but now he used me, and I played along. The ceremony ended. Reporters were escorted out. Lights dimmed. Only a few staff remained. And us. He let go of my hand. "I'll handle the rest," he said. I didn't move. He turned to leave. My voice broke before I could catch it. "Do I get a choice?" He paused. Didn't look back. "No," he said. "Not anymore. Not anymore." That meant I had won once. Right? Then why couldn't I remember when? The hallway was quiet as I walked alone. My heels echoed like mistakes. I touched the ring once more. It was beautiful. But beauty didn't mean consent. I entered the dressing room, locked the door. I looked in the mirror. The Omega staring back wasn't me. He was someone else. Someone claimed, someone quiet, someone fake. I slowly slid down the wall. And for the first time in years, I cried without making a sound. I didn't realize the silence had changed. Not until it was too late. Before it used to be gentle, like an old blanket, soft even when lonely. But now after the announcement, after the cameras and forced smile, it felt heavy. Sharp. Watch. I stood in his hallway like a ghost who didn't belong. My suitcase still zipped. My collar still tight. My fingers trembling just a little. Not from fear. From realization. I wasn't his housemate anymore. I was his fiancé. You'll stay here now, he said, voice echoing against marble walls. No heat suppressants. His tone quiet, low, smooth, felt like command wrapped in velvet. Not loud, but dangerous. I turned to him slowly. His scent lingered before he even reached me. Thick cedar and rain. Too close. Too strong. It filled the space like he owned the air. What if I say no? I asked, but my voice was barely there. You won't. Not a threat. Not a guess. A fact. And he was right, because I already hadn't said no. Not on that stage. Not when the ring slid on my finger. Not when he whispered, play along. I followed him to the master suite, not the guest room I used before. I paused in the doorway. There were no flowers. No warmth. Just white sheets, clinical light, the scent of him soaked into the mattress. He dropped a folder onto the bedside table. Your contract, he said. I opened it with hesitant hands. My name in bold. His name already signed. Date. 2 weeks before the press conference. 2 weeks. That meant he knew. He planned. Every touch, every look, every moment of silence. You planned it all, I whispered. My voice cracked on the last word. He didn't deny it. My family needs stability, he said, walking to the window, back to me. You calm my rut. It stung. Like venom in my veins. So I'm medicine now? I forced a laugh. Broken and bitter. He didn't turn around. You agreed. Yes, I did. Back then, when my sister needed surgery. When I had no insurance. No choices. He handed me a pen. I took it. I signed. But I didn't know it would cost this much. I didn't know it meant my scent, my body, my time would become tools for him to control. And yet, I stayed. I unpacked that night. Slowly, deliberately. Each piece of clothing folded into the drawers beside his, like invasion, like surrender. The next morning, his assistant handed me a pill bottle. White cap, familiar, suppressants, expired. I stared at it. No new prescription, she said, eyes avoiding mine. By the alpha's orders. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw it, but I didn't. Instead, I placed the bottle in the trash. I stood in front of the mirror after she left. I touched my neck. My gland pulsed beneath the skin. Unprotected. Vulnerable. He came home late that night. Smelled like business meetings and leather. His scent hit the hallway before he did. I was sitting at the kitchen island, untouched dinner in front of me. You didn't eat? He asked. I shrugged. Didn't feel like it. He walked past me. Close. Too close. His scent brushed mine and I stiffened. He paused. You're flaring, he said, voice unreadable. I wonder why, I replied flatly. He didn't speak. He walked away. I followed him to the living room. I don't know why. Why me? I asked again. I had to know. He looked over his shoulder. Because you're quiet, he said. That word again? I wanted to throw something. Scream. Break a wall. But all I did was whisper, that's not a reason. He didn't reply. And I didn't push. The days blurred. Morning routines became silent. Choreography. We moved around each other like strangers in a waltz. His scent filled the house. It clung to curtains, soaked the sheets, buried itself into my skin even without touch. He didn't bite. But I felt it, that weight, that claim in every moment he looked at me too long. Nights were the worst. We shared a bed now. One side cold. The other, I lay still, listening to his breathing. The heat between us never touched. But my gland throbbed, as if his breath was enough to stir it. Some nights I woke sweating, neck aching, skin flushed. My body, it remembered the night he touched me during rut. even if my mind tried to forget. One evening, I found a notebook on his desk. Open. Careless. I shouldn't have read it. But I did. Page after page, my medical records, my sister's file, the bills I thought were anonymous. He'd been watching me for months, noticing, tracking, planning. I was never random. I was selected, chosen, possessed. I shut the book with shaking hands. He walked in minutes later. "You read it," he said. Not a question. I turned slowly. "You've been following me." His eyes met mine. "I made sure you'd accept the contract." The air between us thickened. Pheromones clashed. I couldn't breathe. "You used me," I whispered. He stepped forward. Just one step. But my body reacted like it was 100. "I protected you," he said. My vision blurred. "From what?" "From a world that chews up omegas who don't have names," he said, voice low. "You needed a shield. I needed a mate. You needed a puppet." I hissed. "Maybe," he said. "But I never forced you to sign." That hurt more than anything. Because it was true. He didn't force me. He just made it impossible to say no. That night, I didn't sleep. His scent on the pillow beside me taunted every breath. My body reacted to him like instinct. Heart racing, skin tingling, heat pooling in my core. But my mind, it screamed. This wasn't love. This was power. Possession. A contract sealed with silence and debt. And still, I didn't leave. Because part of me, the stupid weak omega part, wanted him to mean it. To touch me not out of need, but want. Not because I calmed his rut, but because I stirred something else inside him. I wanted the alpha who held me that night, who buried his face into my neck, shaking, afraid. Lost. Not the man who handed me a contract like a leash. And I hated myself for wanting it. I hated how, every night, my body leaned an inch closer to his warmth. How, every morning, I lingered in his scent just a second too long. I was trapped, not by the contract, but by myself, by the way he said my name in the dark once. Quiet, broken, like it wasn't part of the script. By the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching, like I was the only thing keeping him from falling apart. And that scared me more than anything else. Because if this wasn't real, then why did it feel like my heart was already his? He said it was pretend. He always said it was pretend. But nothing about the way his hand touched my back felt like acting. The gala lights were too bright. Faces blurred. Everyone was watching. Cameras clicked like insect wings. I felt their eyes on us. On me. The omega in silver. The omega beside him. I tried to breathe. I tried to steady my scent. But it was already slipping. Sweet, warm, confused. Too soft for control. Too loud for safety. Then I felt him step behind me. His hand, large, warm, settled on the small of my back. Through layers of satin, I still felt it like a burn. "Smile," he whispered. His breath brushed against the shell of my ear. I tried, but then his nose touched my neck. Lower. Softer. And stopped right over my gland. My whole body stiffened. Heat flushed through my skin in waves, like boiling water rising under cold glass. My legs trembled. "Breathe," he said again, even quieter. His lips barely moved. But I couldn't. My knees buckled. He caught me. Without hesitation. As if he was waiting. And still, he didn't pull away. His nose remained there, pressed gently to my gland. Not biting. Not claiming. Just there. So close I could hear his heartbeat in sync with mine. Too fast. Too wrong. Too real. The cameras caught it. The exact angle. That too intimate lean. That moment our scents visibly flared. The alpha's dominance. The omega's collapse. Later it would be printed on every gossip site. He claimed him in public. But no one knew he didn't bite. Not yet. That came later. After the gala he guided me with a hand on my back. Not possessive, not cruel, but firm. I followed like I always did, quietly, too obedient for my own good. We didn't speak until we were in the lounge. Empty, private, drenched in dark velvet and soft shadows. The door clicked shut. I stood by the window, staring out at the night. I didn't know how to look at him. Because I knew what I looked like now. Ruined composure, scent flaring in pulses, hands still shaking. He poured 2 drinks. Didn't hand me mine. Just placed it beside me on the ledge. Then silence. Until I said barely above a whisper. Why did you do that? I heard him inhale. Then his footsteps approached. Soft, slow, deliberate. He didn't answer, not with words. Instead, he stepped behind me again. His hand found my waist. His nose brushed my nape. Again, I trembled. Don't. I tried, but I didn't move, and he didn't stop. Then, a bite. Soft, shallow, but real. It sank just deep enough to make my heart stutter, to make my vision blur, to make my knees lose strength again. He held me, his arms wrapped around my waist. Not forceful, but full, possessive. I felt his breath stilling at the curve of my neck. The bond wasn't sealed, not fully. No blood exchanged, no rut triggered, but my gland, it responded. With heat, not from fear, but from recognition. Why? My voice was broken now. For the cameras, he said simply. And yet, he didn't pull away. Not for a long time. We didn't speak after that. Not really. He helped me into the car, sat beside me in silence. His scent, it lingered. I thought it would fade by morning. It didn't. Even after 3 showers. Even after I changed my sheets. Even after I scrubbed my collarbone until it turned pink. Still, I could feel him, smell him, in me, as if that shallow bite had left something behind I couldn't name. I curled into bed that night, alone. But not alone. His scent clung to my skin. Not just physically, emotionally. It seeped into my bones, settled into the cracks in my chest I thought I'd sealed years ago. Pretend. He said it was pretend. But when I touched the spot he bit, I felt something else. Ache. Longing. Regret? No. It couldn't be regret. I told myself it was the heat. My body reacting like an omega should. But my heart knew. This wasn't just chemical. This was something else. Something dangerous. Something I didn't have the words for. Next morning, he was already gone when I woke up. But breakfast was set out. Warm. My favorite. I stared at the plate too long. I didn't touch it. I found him in the study that afternoon, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, scrolling through articles with our names in bold. Your PR team's good, I said. He glanced at me. Crisis managed. I nodded. And me? He paused. What about you? I walked forward, stopped in front of his desk. I mean, was I managed too? His jaw tightened. You agreed to this? Yes, I said. To pretend. He didn't speak. I stepped closer. Then why did it feel real? His scent spiked. Sharp, sudden, like warning. Or guilt. You're reacting, I whispered. So are you. We both fell silent. Then I asked the question I had no right to. Did you want to bite me? His eyes darkened. No, he said too quickly. But his scent said yes. That night, I didn't sleep again. Every time I closed my eyes, I remembered the moment his teeth grazed my skin. The slight pressure. The pause in his breath. He could have stopped. He didn't. I woke with sweat clinging to my neck, heat pooling low in my stomach. I was burning. Not in full heat. Not yet. But I was close. Dangerously close. I didn't know if it was because of him or because I wanted it to be. Days passed. The scent in the house changed. Our balance changed. He started lingering more, sitting beside me at meals, standing closer when he spoke. One night, he leaned near to take a file from the table. His hand brushed mine. We both froze. Our scents surged at once, clashing, intertwining. I pulled away first, but too late. He inhaled sharply. You need blockers, he muttered. They were denied. I replied. His eyes flickered. He knew. He ordered it. He wanted this. My heat. My confusion. My scent in his sheets. And still, I let him, because I wanted him to mean it. Even if it was a lie. Even if it broke me. I wanted the bite to be real. I wanted him to look at me like I was more than a contract. More than a headline. More than a quiet omega he could bend. I wanted to believe that in that one moment, when his mouth was on my skin, he felt it too. It started with a headline. CEO uses Omega as bond pawn for business merger. I stared at the screen, fingers numb. My face cold and exposed on every tabloid. My collar half undone. My scent, described in lurid mocking detail. And him standing behind me, hand on my neck frozen in time. They had footage. Footage from the gala. Footage from that night in the lounge. The moment he bit me. Even if it was shallow. Even if it didn't seal the bond. They called it manipulation. They called it forced intimacy. They called me willing. Then weak. Then a liar. His family made a statement the same afternoon. The Hartwell Group disapproves of this inappropriate pairing. As if I were a blemish. A stain on his suit. And he didn't say a word. No denial. No protection. No press conference. Just silence. I stayed locked inside the apartment. Curtains drawn. Door bolted. My scent curled in corners, sour with panic, spiked with leftover heat. Reporters banged on the building gate. Drones hovered outside the windows. A letter arrived with no sender. Go back where you came from, homewrecker. I didn't reply. I didn't even cry. I just sat by the bedroom door, knees pulled to my chest. Breath shallow. Waiting. For him. But he didn't come. Until the third night. It was past midnight. Rain slicked the pavement outside. I heard his key before I saw him. The sound of his shoes, heavy, slow, echoed through the hallway. I stood up too fast. My legs shook. He entered without looking at me. His scent hit me first. Wrong. Too rich. Too sharp. Too consuming. Not his usual clean cedar. No. This was rut. His eyes were darker. Skin flushed. Tie loosened but not removed. The heat rolled off him in waves. I stepped back. Instinct. He slammed the door shut behind him. I swallowed. You should have called first. He looked at me but not really. His gaze lingered too long. On my neck. My lips. My hips. Couldn't wait. He muttered. Needed to see you. I felt my scent tremble in reaction. My gland pulsed beneath the silk collar. I gripped the edge of the table. I don't have suppressants, I whispered. I know. My stomach twisted. Where are yours? He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer. I froze. You're not thinking straight, I said. He tilted his head, nostrils flaring. Neither are you. And maybe I wasn't. Maybe I wanted to believe this was more than just instinct. Maybe I wanted to be needed even if it was just for this. But when he reached for me, when his fingers brushed my hip, gentle but burning, I broke. Don't. He paused. Just for a second, then whispered. I need you. I felt it. The tremble in his voice. The way his scent pleaded even as his body pressed forward. He leaned in, forehead resting against mine. Hot, damp, shaking. I can't hold it anymore, he said. And something in me gave up. Not because I wanted it, but because I didn't want to fight anymore. I let my hands fall. I let his touch spread. I let him scent me. Taste me. Claim the space around me like a desperate alpha losing grip on himself. He didn't force me, but he didn't stop. He didn't ask if I wanted this. He didn't wait for the part of me that was screaming inside. And I just lay there, body trembling beneath his, my eyes wide open, silent, watching the ceiling as his scent wrapped around me like a fog I couldn't escape. I didn't moan. I didn't move, but I didn't push him off either. Because part of me, the part that was broken long ago, whispered that maybe this was the only way he knew how to love. When it ended, I waited for the apology. He didn't speak. He got up, dressed in silence, left a tray on the table, a glass of water, a pill, and a note. Didn't mean to hurt you. The door clicked shut behind him. I lay there, cold and raw. His scent clung to my thighs, my pillow, the bruises on my hips, my chest. But the worst was on my skin. The shallow indent where his teeth found my gland again. Not deep enough to bond, but deep enough to remind that I was his, or never was. I pulled the sheets up to my neck, but they didn't warm me. They only smelled like him. That morning, the sky was bright. Too bright. I took the tray to the sink and poured the water down. Flushed the pill too. Then I changed, packed my clothes, what little I had, tied my hair, wiped my neck with cotton and salt water, but it didn't come off. The scent, his mark, his shadow. I left the ring on the counter, placed the contract beside it, and walked out the door. No driver, no cameras, just me and the cold. And for the first time since this all began, I didn't look back. I packed my things in silence. Not because there was peace, but because everything inside me was screaming too loud. The zipper of the suitcase trembled under my grip. My fingers felt numb, but I kept folding my clothes one by one, like a ritual. Neat, careful, slow, like if I delayed long enough, maybe this wouldn't feel like running. I wasn't escaping. That's what I told myself. But the truth curled around my throat like a leash. I was leaving, for real this time. I placed the silver engagement ring on the table. I didn't look at it twice. It sparkled under the soft kitchen light, quiet and heavy like guilt. It never belonged to me anyway. Neither did he. There was a gift on the hallway console. A small black box. No note, no explanation. I knew it was from him. I opened it. Bond break earrings. Silver, delicate, too pretty for what they meant. My fingers hovered over them for a long time. Break the bond. Burn the past. Clean slate. I shut the box and shoved it back into the drawer without taking them out. Instead, I took the burned letters, the ones I had written to him, in my head, in my journal. On paper I tore apart and set fire to when he didn't come home. I gathered the ashes, carefully, quietly, put them in a soft velvet box, the kind used for proposals, tied it with a red string. That's what I sent back. Not the earrings, not my scent, not forgiveness, just ashes, and silence. I didn't leave a note, because there was nothing left to explain. I took the subway to the hospital. My sister had another checkup that morning. I had promised I'd be there. I couldn't break that. Not her. Not after all this. She smiled when she saw me. But her nose twitched. "You smell weird," she said. I blinked. Not bad. Just sad. I forced a laugh. Even children could sense it. The way grief clung to your scent. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Did your alpha make you cry?" I didn't answer. She didn't ask again. We waited together in the small white room. The IV clicked. The clock ticked. My heart, it didn't move. Until the doors burst open. And he was there. Breathless. Disheveled. Tie crooked. Hair damp like he had run through rain. I stood up too fast. My chair screeched. He didn't care. His eyes scanned the room, found me, and froze. I felt his scent reach first. Rich, intense, soaked in panic. He walked toward me, slow like a man stepping into fire. "You lied to me," I said. It came out too loud. My sister flinched. I glanced at her, whispered an apology, and stepped outside the room, heart thudding. He followed. Of course he followed. In the hallway, under the sterile lights, I turned and faced him. He looked tired. Not the kind of tired from work or lack of sleep. The kind that lives behind your eyes. After too much regret. "You lied," I said again, quieter. He opened his mouth. "I never. You knew I'd run." I cut him off. "That's why you sent the bond break earrings." He flinched. "I thought you needed a way out," he whispered. "And you?" I asked, voice sharp. "What about you? You don't even try to stop me." He stepped closer. "I was trying to respect your choice." My laugh was dry, bitter. "Funny. You only care about my choices after you ruin them." His jaw clenched. I saw it, that guilt flicker in his eyes. The part of him that wanted to hold me and the part that didn't know how. "I never meant to hurt you," he said, voice low. "But you did," I replied. Silence stretched between us. The distance felt longer than the hallway. "Then why did you use me?" I asked. My voice cracked on the last word. Why make me think it meant something when it was always a strategy? His expression twisted, like it hurt. "I was scared," he finally said. "Of what?" He looked away. "Of how real you became." My breath caught. He stepped forward again, close enough for his scent to wash over me. Warm. Familiar. Unwelcome. I shook my head. "You don't get to say that. I never lied about what I felt," he whispered. "But you never said it either." We stood there, frozen. Two people who had already broken each other, still reaching. He reached for my neck. Slowly. "Let me scent you." His voice trembled. "One last time. Please." My body reacted before I could think. I slapped his hand away. Hard. He didn't flinch. Didn't step back. He just looked at me. Eyes red. Not from anger. But something else. Something softer. Something worse. He lowered his hand. I turned away. But I didn't run. Because my legs refused. Because my heart was a traitor. Because his scent still lived in my bones. Why now? I asked, my voice small. Why show up here? He didn't answer at first. Then softly, because this is where I realized I might lose you for good. I blinked. He stepped beside me. I got your box, he said. The ashes, the letters, were they real? I didn't answer. He sighed. I burned mine too, he whispered, but only after I read them 1,000 times. I looked up. His eyes were wet. My breath hitched. This was never just business for me, he said. Then why hide? Because I've never had anything to lose before. And you, his voice cracked. You were the first risk I couldn't afford. Tears slipped down my cheek. I didn't stop them. I didn't speak. He moved closer. This isn't a rescue, he said. This is me finally showing up. I closed my eyes. I felt his hand hover near mine. Not touching, just waiting. Breath heavy, scent soft, like he was holding himself back from devouring me whole. I'm not asking for forever, he whispered. Just one more chance. I opened my eyes, looked at him. At the alpha who had ruined me. And loved me. Wrong. Messy. Too late. Too much. But still. Loved me. I didn't give him an answer. I didn't fall into his arms. But I didn't leave either. We stood there. Together. In the quiet after the storm. And for the first time, his scent didn't choke me. It felt like home. The wind was softer at the beach. Salty. Gentle. Not like the city where everything pressed against your skin too loud, too fast. Here, even the waves felt like silence. I walked barefoot on the sand, the hem of my pants damp where the tide kissed the shore. The earrings hung from my lobes. Silver, light, final, bond break. The names sounded harsh in my mind. But I never activated them. People thought endings were loud. I learned they're quiet. Like breath held too long. Like love unspoken. Like the space between two heartbeats. I came here to disappear. But he found me anyway. I didn't hear him at first. Just felt his scent, distant, lingering, then closer. My heart stuttered. I turned slowly. He was walking toward me, shoes sinking into the wet sand, blazer clutched in one hand, sleeves rolled up, hair messy like he'd been running, chasing, breaking through everything to get here. And when he reached me, he didn't speak. He knelt, in the sand, in front of me. Like he was letting the earth pull him low enough to match the weight in his eyes. My throat tightened. I wanted to move, but I couldn't. Not yet. He looked up at me. His voice broke. I didn't come to bed. I didn't answer. I came to tell you. Still, I said nothing. He reached into his coat, pulled out a locket. Small. Brass. Old. He opened it with shaking fingers. Inside, photos. My sister smiling. Her IV visible. A child's drawing tucked behind the image. Stick figures of me and her. And folded behind the clasp. Hospital bills. Names. Dates. Mine. I paid them, he said. I know, I replied. Voice hollow. But not for guilt, he added. Not for power. Then why? I asked. His gaze didn't waver. Because I couldn't lose you again. That word hit me. Again, I frowned. What do you mean again? He looked away for a moment, like gathering memory from somewhere deep. There was a school trip, he whispered. Years ago, we were young. 15, maybe. There was a fire alarm. Everyone panicked. My breath caught. Something stirred in me. A memory. Faded, half lost. I carried someone out that day, he continued. An Omega passed out near the lockers. Overheated. I only remembered the scent. Soft like tea and warmth. My fingers trembled. You. He nodded slowly. That Omega was you. I blinked. It hit like a flood. I remembered. The smoke. The weightlessness. The scent that calmed me in the chaos. I had dreamed about it once. Thought I imagined it. A phantom alpha with strong arms and no face. It was him. Always him. I didn't know your name, he said. But I remembered the scent. I never. My voice shook. You never told me. I couldn't, he said, eyes shining. You were so fragile back then. Then I saw you again. Years later. Different name. Same eyes. Same scent. I knew. Tears burned behind my lashes. All this time. All this pain. And the beginning wasn't what I thought. I never planned to fall, he said. But I did. Quietly. stupidly, and when my family threatened to cut me off, he stopped, swallowed hard. I thought if I claimed you, they'd leave you alone. I let out a breath. You thought control was protection? He lowered his gaze. I was wrong. I looked at him, kneeling in the sand. His scent wrapped around me in slow, hesitant waves, like he didn't want to suffocate me again. I hated you, I whispered. I hated me too, he replied. I knelt down. My knees touched the wet sand. The earrings swung as I moved, silver catching sunlight like they still had meaning. But I didn't reach for them. I reached for his hand. His breath hitched. I'm tired, I said, of being angry, of pretending I didn't care. He looked at me, eyes wide. I leaned forward, close enough to smell his warmth, his regret, his ache. I let my forehead press to his. Our breaths mingled. No heat, no rut, just us. Finally, let me scent you, he whispered. Not a command, a plea. I didn't answer, just tilted my head. And this time, I didn't flinch. His nose brushed my neck. Soft, reverent, possessive. Yes, but gentle, not to claim, but to return, to remember, to remind. When he pulled back, his voice cracked. I missed this. I let out a laugh, watery, broken. You never had it. Now I do. I nodded, just once. We sat in the sand, wordless for a while, waves whispering beside us. Then I reached up, removed earrings, dropped them into his palm. He looked down, then back at me. I smiled. Don't need them anymore. He closed his fingers around them, tight. And I knew this was not a new beginning. This was us, finally arriving.